Hello and welcome! Today we are diving deep into the incredible geographical story of India. We're going to see how its absolutely massive size and its super strategic location haven't just defined its own history, but have literally shaped our world for thousands of years. But first, let's kick things off with a question that really puts it all into perspective. Have you ever wondered why the vast Indian Ocean, a body of water that touches 3 continents, is named after just one country? Keep that question in the back of your mind, because by the end of this explainer, the answer is going to be perfectly clear.
So, to really get a handle on India's importance, we have to start with the absolute basics. Where exactly is it on the globe?
Okay, so first off, India is located entirely in the northern hemisphere. But it's not just in Asia. You can see it's this massive piece of land extending southward from the continent, kind of jutting out and commanding this really central position in the ocean.
Now let's get specific. The Indian mainland stretches from about 8 degrees north latitude, which is pretty close to the equator, all the way up to 37 degrees north. And from west to east, it spans from 68 degrees east to over 97 degrees east. That's a spread of almost 30 degrees in both directions. I mean, that is just a massive canvas for one nation.
So we know where it is, but just how big is it really? Let's zoom in and look at India by the numbers, because that's where you really start to grasp the immense scale we're talking about. The total landmass clocks in at a staggering 3.28 million square kilometers. I mean, just to put that into perspective, that's more than 13 times the size of the United Kingdom. It's a number that really helps explain the incredible diversity you see across the country, and it sets the stage for pretty much everything else.
Now, here's what's really fascinating. While this landmass is enormous, it's only 2.4% of the world's total geographical area. Think about that for a second. On this relatively small slice of the planet lives nearly a sixth of all humanity. That tension between land area and population is absolutely central to India's story.
So where does that put India on the world stage? Well, that 2.4% is enough to make India the 7th largest country on Earth. It's right up there with some continental giants, and seeing exactly where it fits in that lineup really helps visualize its scale.
Yeah, this chart really drives the point home. While countries like Russia and Canada are kind of in a league of their own, you can see India holds its own in this group of global giants. It's larger than all of Western Europe combined.
And all that size means you've got some incredible borders. India has a land boundary of about 15,200 kilometers and a massive coastline, if you include its islands, that stretches for over 7,500 kilometers. That's a whole lot of land to defend and a whole lot of coast to trade from.
Okay, so when a country is this wide and this long, it presents some pretty fascinating real-world challenges. So let's explore how these vast distances shape everything from time itself to the changing of the seasons.
Get this. Because of that nearly 30-degree longitudinal spread we talked about, there's a huge difference in when the sun rises. Way out in the eastern state of Arunachala Pradesh, the sun is up around 5 a.m. But all the way over in Gujarat in the west, it doesn't rise until about 7 a.m. That is a 2-hour time lag across the same country.
Which brings up a great question, right? If there's a 2-hour difference in sunrise, how on earth do they manage to keep things organized? Why does every single watch in India show the exact same time? And here is the really elegant solution. To avoid total chaos, India adopted a single standard time. It's based on the longitude of 82 degrees 30 minutes east, which runs right down the middle of the country. This line is called the Standard Meridian, and it ensures everyone is on the same clock, whether the sun is up or not. Pretty clever.
Okay, here's another little puzzle that geography helps us solve. Why is it that up north, let's say in Kashmir, the difference between the long summer days and short winter days is super noticeable, but way down at the southern tip in Kanyakumari, the day length is pretty much the same all year round? Well, the answer is all about latitude. Kanyakumari is really close to the equator, and near the equator, day and night are always roughly equal in length. But as you travel north to Kashmir, you're getting further and further away from the equator. And the further you go, the more extreme those seasonal changes in daylight become. It's a direct result of the country's huge north-south spread.
All right, let's zoom back out and connect all of this to our opening question. India's location, especially its relationship with the vast ocean at its feet, has been its gateway to the rest of the world for centuries.
You know, for a huge chunk of ancient history, India's main connections were through land routes, sneaking through mountain passes in the north. The oceans were actually a barrier, more like a giant wall. But that all changed. The huge turning point was in 1869 with the opening of the Suez Canal. It slashed the sea journey to Europe by 7,000 kilometers and really cemented India's role as a major hub for maritime trade.
And these routes, both land and sea, were never a one-way street. This was a dynamic exchange. From India, the world got profound ideas like the concepts in the Upanishads, the decimal system we all use today, and of course, valuable goods like spices. And in return, influences like Greek sculpture and West Asian architecture flowed into India, creating this incredibly rich blended culture.
So, having looked at its global position, let's finish our journey by looking at India's immediate neighborhood, the nations it shares a border and a whole lot of history with.
India's neighborhood is, well, it's pretty packed and incredibly diverse. To the northwest, you've got Pakistan and Afghanistan. The north is dominated by the massive presence of China, along with Nepal and Bhutan. Over in the east are Myanmar and Bangladesh, and then across the southern seas are the island nations of Sri Lanka and the Maldives.
And that connection with its southern neighbors is defined by these very specific bits of geography. A narrow channel of sea made up of the Palk Strait and the Gulf of Mannar is all that separates India from Sri Lanka. It's a historically strong and vital link.
Which brings us full circle right back to where we started. The reason an entire ocean bears India's name is because of its central commanding position. No other country has such a long coastline jutting right into the heart of it. So we're left with this thought. If geography really is destiny, how will India's unique size and location continue to shape not just its own future, but the future of the entire world?